Mr. Mkwalase, thank you very much for your time. So 3 convictions, that's beautiful. However, there is the issue of all these convictions being converted into suspended sentences. Why?
All right, good morning to you, Mr. Mgambi, and your viewers. Well, we welcome the sentences that is imposed against the 3 suspects. And our duty really as the Hawks is to ensure that we make the arrest and do the thorough investigation, and that would lead to successful convictions. We believe we have done our part and successfully, which is why we issue a statement to that effect. However, when it comes to the judgment, it is really entirely to the court. The court considers all facts that are placed in front of them and make the ruling.
Well, that can't be a moral booster. I know that it's out of your hands once the judge makes his or her decision, but surely it's got to affect morale. Talk to us perhaps about what a suspended sentence means for someone who doesn't know.
All right, Mr. Mgambi, thank you. Also, you must also remember that, of course, for instance, one of the matter, there was one suspect who was arrested at the Table View restaurant, and there was a potential loss there of 100,000 because about 5 victims that were, that went to the restaurant bought. And he actually cloned their cards. So there was a potential loss there, but the actual loss was 10,000 rand. That suspect was then sentenced to quite a number of sentences, but they were suspended for 5 years. That means that there is a criminal record against the suspect, and secondly, that those sentences, should the suspect be found doing the same thing within that period of 5 years, those sentences that were imposed, which were suspended, would come back and be active.
So the reality here is that some of these convictions, or convicts, I should say, they are walking the streets because of this suspended element. Talk to us about how widespread this issue is, Mr. Mkwalase.
Well, the card fraud, but also just to assist you there, there's 2 card fraud there. What happens is that these guys, they manage somehow using different methods to get the card informations of the victims, and they then defraud them. And so basically that is how that thing happens, the fraud happens. So, but ours is to ensure that we investigate them, we bring them to book, and we are sure that this is what we have done in this instance.
And have the people who've been defrauded since recovered their monies?
All right, I would refer you to one of the incident where it's not necessarily, the third incident where it's not necessarily a card fraud. What had happened there, it was counterfeit goods sold by one of the businessmen who was operating in Philippi. And the investigation was done by a multidisciplinary team that involved the Hawks as well as the Adams & Adams attorney for the brand owner. And that one was actually fined to pay 100,000 rand apart from the suspended sentence. So there were conditions attached to the suspended sentence. So he was fined 100,000 rand, which is to be paid before the end of the month. And of course, failure to paying that, he will then serve a direct imprisonment of 3 years as the sentence was imposed.
All right, thank you very much for that. That was Philani Mkwalase. He speaks for the Hawks.